Okay, not to move too quickly, but the next system is the one I mentioned at the top, where I'm working on building up my surface mulch rather than adding it from the start. This is more intended for high rotation crops, and I call it no mulch, no till. I'm fine if you just want to call it low till or whatever. Just avoid getting too dogmatic about anything like that. No till is about creating soil health, and there are a million ways to do that. Anyway, the idea here is that we are slowly building up the mulch layer instead of installing it from the start, because mulches can be expensive and not all mulches make sense to all contexts. So these beds, for instance, look like bare soil, but actually had a lot of soil health work. They received a winter-killed cover crop, followed by a leaf layer, followed by chickens for about 10 days. Then we broad forked to break up the lingering compaction, because this is a new farm and a new plot. Very lightly harrowed the surface and sowed some intensive crops like carrots and green onions. So that's the idea. And as you can see, we are keeping the pathways living simply to avoid erosion and having to cultivate the paths. But I also use a similar system to this in the tunnels with wood chips in the pathways. In fact, that's probably the only place on my farm that this particular system will endure, as this outside plot that we're looking at will go into cover crops and grass mulches next season, because it feels a little bit too exposed and erosive. Is erosive a word? And erosive to have it out there in the middle of the field where it gets hit by rain and wind and all the things that erode. So effectively, the goal here is still soil health. And the only thing that changes in this system is that I don't have that initial mulch layer to work with. I'm still doing very little disturbance, broad forking, for instance, if compacted, because always keep in mind that the most likely thing standing between you and great photosynthesis is not a little bit of broken fungal hyphae, but rather it's soil compaction. And so I'm addressing compaction, and I'm raking or possibly harrowing the surface. So as little disturbance as possible, and trying to use as much good nutritional compost as I can with other available organic matter like leaves, but not a heavy mulch from the start. This is not my favorite method aesthetically, because I've grown accustomed to the look of a nice dark mulch, and it will take several years to get the mulchy surface established with leaves and lighter applications of compost. But the crops have been fantastic. So yeah, still tinkering and looking for every good option for people who, kind of like me, straight up do not have access to yards and yards of worthwhile compost at a price that makes sense, and I can't make my own. I don't have a tractor or the space. I do still prefer a light compost mulching, but this is effective so long as you just keep it planted as much as possible and get as much organic matter involved as you can. Okay, I think that's good for now. Let me know your thoughts or questions you have about no-till systems. I don't need to know all of your thoughts. Like this video if you like this video. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.